I remember one time me and her sitting down and talking about bringing you on tour. And I look at her and say, yeah, it's cool, but we're so ghetto, man. He's not. He's used to high high touring. This we're gonna fuck him up, you know.
Hey, all I had to do was get my.
Yeah, he might like the ghetto style too. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of homey, it's kind of like we have the home style thing, but it was cool. It was definitely like fun, man.
No, I got brought out my camouflage shorts and got down on it.
The David Ellefson Show. Featuring Grammy Award winner David Ellefson and respected metal journalist Joshua Toomey. Presented by EllefsonEmporium.com. Here's David and Joshua.
How fun was that?
Dude, that was awesome.
Super good.
I love Max.
Isn't he great, man? He, it's funny, that guy gets on stage and just roars like a lion, but in person, he is just the sweetest, just like the gentle, kind guy. This really soft spirit. It's so and it's funny. His music, it's a little indescribable. I mean, obviously, when I was in the room with him, it felt a little like heavy metal Bob Marley. Because of just this kind of they celebrate this Brazilian. Like we talked about in the interview, it's kind of this third world, life that he grew up in and sort of represents to a certain degree with Brazil, and then moves to America and, brings all of that with him and never lost it, never gave that up to sort of embrace the American way of life. He just sort of brought Brazil with him, so.
Yeah, no, it's with Max. I love the Brazilian roots, and I talk about that a lot with newer bands coming up, and even like Gojira, kind of having that quality about them that kind of come from they bring their country out. And then there's the band Alien Weaponry. They're from New Zealand. They kind of bring in that New Zealand sound into their music, and you learn about cultures and things like that. And I love it when you can learn about a culture and also just hear some great tunes at the same time.
It's a thing I think I enjoyed with Dieth is, all my records I've always recorded inside of America. So it was really cool to go over to Poland. And of course, Guilherme is also from Brazil, so it was interesting to hear how he sings with that Brazilian Portuguese vernacular and that dialect. It's similar to Max, right? And it's funny, that type of singing in sort of, let's call it a death metal heavy environment, articulates very differently than if you're a Polish singer or a German singer or of a sort of an Eastern European country. To me, it's more singable, it's more melodic. It's sometimes easier to understand, I think, because the consonants aren't so hard. It's more of a, Portuguese is a love language, right? It's a Latin origin, So, but certainly Max defines that. But yeah, making records outside of America has been fun for me. That's been a really great musical journey. So I'm glad I got to, have that with Dieth as well.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting. Your partner in rock and roll crime now, Bobby Burns. He was. I thought he was great in Soulfly. I loved I loved how he looked. I love how he played. He looked part of the group. In fact, if anything, I was probably the odd man out because, like Max says, I'm this sort of Anglo-Saxon, clean. Minnesota boy playing heavy metal, but it was.
We talked about that. I was so pumped for my friend to be in Soulfly, and then the first video comes out and you're playing bass in the video. I'm like, And
the truth is, I had a stocking cap on, not because I was trying to look all gangster. It was fucking cold as balls up there, man. It was freezing cold up in Monument Valley. Yeah. And so that's why I dressed warm. I think I probably had some Under Armour on, got a cap, I'm like, man, it's freaking cold out here. So, but that, those guys have always done very just random, cool stuff. It's always, who would think, remember we got on the bus in Phoenix, drove overnight up to Monument Valley, woke up in the morning and then got on camera and started shooting out there in the in the desert there. But that's super cool area of the country.
I love that he was worried about them being too ghetto for you, you know. Yeah.
I know,
he didn't want to he almost didn't ask you to go do the tour because he's too worried you might, you know, not like the tour accompaniment or whatever.
I loved it, man. I thought it was very homegrown and organic and cool, man. I loved it. It was a great vibe, and you know, I was glad to be asked. And we actually did one little short run. It might have only been a couple shows. I think it was like a Southern Cal show. Mm-hmm. And then we played in Phoenix. And that was probably on the Prophecy tour. And then I even played on the track on Dark Ages.
Nice.
I know that. Yeah. And that, you know, that record, I think for me with Soulfly, that's when things really started sounding very heavy metal again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were a little less kind of world music, more kind of brought, dare I say, the Metallica back into it, you know, which was always kind of a part of Sepultura. I thought that riffing, but that was a really freaking heavy record, man. Great sound, great riffs. So yeah, it was great to be part of a whole season there with Max of all that stuff. So
yeah, this was a fun one, man. And I'm so excited to see they're going to be at Louder Than Life doing the Chaos AD record. And you know, that's my favorite Sepultura record. And the entire time, if you go back to every interview I've done with Max, when they do these, you know, full album plays over the years, I'm like, when are we doing Chaos AD? When are we doing Chaos AD? And now they're doing Chaos AD, and I'm pumped for it.
Yeah. No, I think it's super great. All right, man. Well, look, get on it. Let's watch the episode.
All right, guys, we have a killer Louder Than Life giveaway for Louder Than Life 2025, Louisville, Kentucky, at the Highland Festival grounds. Bands like Slayer, Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, Avenged Sevenfold, Sleep Token, Breaking Benjamin, Deftones, Evanescence are among over 160 bands appearing over 6 stages over 4 days. And we here at the David Ellefson Show have 6 4-day festival passes for you guys. So what I want you guys to do is go to either YouTube or Facebook, like and share this episode, and then also comment your favorite guest of the David Ellefson Show so far. That will give you an entry into this contest. And once again, it is 6 4-day general admission passes to Louder Than Life. And there are so many anniversaries and reunions for this year's Louder Than Life. You've got 12 Stones. You've got Accept doing a 50th anniversary, Acid Bath, Cavalera. The brothers are playing the Sepultura record Chaos AD in full. That's worth the price of admission alone. Chimera, Chiodos, Crossfade, Dope doing a 25-year anniversary set. Down, Fear Factory, From First to Last, ICP, Kitty, Let Live, Rob Zombie doing Astro Creep 2000 in its entirety. I saw that once at Riot Fest. It was awesome. The almighty Snot, Spineshank, and don't forget Slayer. You're going to get to see Slayer for free. So 6 4-day festival passes. Head over to the YouTube page or the Facebook page. Comment your favorite David Ellefson Show guest so far. You will be entered, and keep checking back. And we will announce the winner on July 21st. Now back to the show.
You know, it's funny. I was going to ask you about Nail Bomb just to get an update what you're doing. I guess now I don't have to ask. Now I know you're coming back over here. So do you have a new record that you did with that?
Nah, man, just
playing the hits.
Old. Yeah. We made one record, but I thought it was so fun. It was so good. You know, it was like we did it at the same time as Chaos AD, but it was complete polar opposites. You know, Chaos AD was like pressure to be commercially successful in a big record, where Nail Bomb's like, dude, we don't even give a shit if this thing. If nobody likes this thing, you know, we just want to do it. And it was like mostly done at home. Me and Alex just kind of sat, wrote riffs at my old house, and took it to the studio and invited a bunch of people and made a record. It taught me a lot about recording. Sometimes the best ideas are spur of the moments, man. You know, those are like lightning in a bottle. And you know, so this record was so much fun. I did revive it in 2017. We did a couple shows, but then last year we did a big show in Phoenix called the Max Dynasty show, and Nailbomb playing the show was fucking fantastic. That was like, dude, I gotta play this more. This is so fun. This is like one of the funnest things to do in my career. Like, so, you know, so we decided to give it a try. And so we're going to come to Europe, a bunch of festivals like Bloodstock, Walking, Dynamo, you know, so it's going to be cool. It's, you know, I'm excited. Found a bunch of different guys to made a new band out of it. And like I said, I love the record. I think the record was it aged extremely well within the crazy times that we're on right now. You know, it fit like a glove in 2025.
It's funny how history repeats.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it's funny because even Chaos AD, if you kind of look at it now, it's like, you know, war for territory and all this other stuff. And, you know, it's exactly what's kind of going on in the world still. You know,
who knew you were that smart, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like a lot of the stuff in the record, even there's a song called 24-Hour Bullshit, which was written for TV at that time, but you can totally see it for everything social media related. You know, it applies to all of that. Of course, at that time there was not really social media or anything like that, but you know, we were referring more to TV, people brainwashed by daytime TV and stuff like that. You know, but yeah, it's crazy how. I was talking to a friend of mine, like when COVID hit, man, I was like, dude, those Voivod records were true, you know? They were talking about, you know, I remember, you know, Nuclear Assault talking about fucking, you know, this shit, COVID. This is what they're singing about. It's fucking happening. Yeah. You know, these bands are on to something, you know?
Well, I think Max,
crazy.
You and I talked about that a long time ago. I mean, even in On a Rise, it's like, you know, infects humanity and all that stuff. Right. You know, you're right there, man.
Yeah, Profit. You know, and it's like we were on to something when nobody knew. You know, like you know, I think a lot of the thrash bands had that, right? The whole Nuclear, you know, paranoia of Nuclear and virus, laboratory virus, and all this. There we go. You know, all this shit, you know, like, so yeah, it's kind of funny that all these years later that actually a lot of that came to reality. It's crazy.
It's almost like if you can think it up, it can happen. Like I used to watch House of Cards, you know, with Kevin Spacey on Netflix, and you're like, dude, this is so gnarly. And then you go, this shit's probably really happening. And then of course now it is. So it's like, it's almost like the script was written here. This is just read off the script, you know? So, you know, I remember, you know, 1991, you know, the Gulf War, 91 Gulf War, and you know the whole thing. A lot of bands were coming home. I remember David Lee Roth and Cinderella. All these guys were coming home because of the war, you know. And if you're Megadeth or if you're Max Cavalera, you fucking go into the war. You don't come home from it. You know, you go into it, right? Because that's just what we do, right? It's like you look. Our fans are there, and of course, it wasn't a war zone in Europe, of course, but you know, a lot of people, you know, they got freaked out by it. Same thing with 9/11. I remember being in Seattle, and you know, Dave calls me, he goes, dude, Junior, wake up. A plane just hit the towers in New York. And I just thought it was like some guy in a Cessna, you know, ran into the tower. I'm like, yeah, all right, bye. You know, went back to sleep. And then he calls me half hour later, dude, another plane just ran into the other tower. I was like, all right, I better wake up and pay attention to this shit. It was like, whoa, the world's burning, you know? And so I remember, you know, being on tour during a couple of those times, as you probably have too, Max. It's like, you know, we were all out and about, and COVID hits, and suddenly we're all going home. You know, we had to go home if we were out. And what did you do during COVID? Because for me, that was a super creative period, man. I did a lot of records. I did a lot of stuff. How about you? What did you do during that time?
So right when it happened, we were we went to Mexico for a big festival, and it was like 40,000 people. You know, I was there with both Soulfly and Cavalera, and it was crazy because we were watching TV and they're shutting everything down. You know, like the world was shutting down, and you know, it was like this is crazy. I think we might be doing the last festival of the year. You know, and it turns out it was that kind of scenario, and then we came back home and everything got shut down. But yeah, I'm with you, Dave. Like I try to use the time like creative, you know, I end up making a bunch of different records. At the time, I think I made Go Ahead and Die, work, I think, on some of the re-recordings, even the Soulfly, I think, was around kind of like the same era. And it was kind of nice to have a little break too. Like we're grinding like every year, right? Like just grind. Kind of like this mandatory stop. I'm not saying COVID is good. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, dude, I remember being on tour with you, 28 shows in 28 days. You know what I mean? And like Gloria's like, no days. Why would we have days off? We're here to play.
Yeah.
Like, hey, she's got a point, you know? Yeah. So, you know, it's funny. I remember that festival. Cool. Megadeth was supposed to be on that festival too. That was like the last one, you know, and we just come home from Europe. And I remember Kiko couldn't get a flight out of Helsinki to get over there. And so we ended up having to pull off of it just because of it was all shutting down. So you're lucky you got to go, you know, and it's, you know, remember that it was scary because you're going, fuck, is this like the last festival ever of our entire lifetime? Like, is everyone going to die and leave the planet or what? What was that? It was scary.
It was kind of a crazy scenario in the airport, felt like that. And even worry about like how, you know, are we going to be able to get home okay, you know? And but then at the same time, you're thinking, holy shit, there's 40,000 people here going ape shit, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a virus going on at the same time, you know? It just hasn't hit Mexico as maybe as fast as it hit US. I mean,
40,000 people just spreading COVID like a motherfucker.
like, yeah, that's a COVID factory right there.
So, hey, let's go back. So it's got to the beginning, you know, the first time I saw you play was with Sepultura at Rock in Rio, 1991. And, you know, Nick Menza, of course I've heard of Sepultura, but Nick Menza, I think on that tour that was Rest in Peace for us. And he said, dude, come to the back of the bus. And he was blasting Sepultura. And he was like air drumming, you know, like, dude, check this fucking riff out, you know, and he was air drumming to Igor's stuff. And he knew your shit, man. He knew. And Nick was a good salesman. If he was into a song, he could sell you on it. I was like, yeah, this is pretty good, you know? And so would that have been Beneath the Remains, or was that a Rise at that time, like early 91 or so?
Yeah. So that festival, we actually made a special pressing of Arise that came out early in Brazil just for the festival.
Oh, okay.
So before it came out in America and Europe, they rush somehow. I don't know how they made it, but they rushed the delivery and made available.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of Arise, the Arise tour, and that festival was crazy. That was a fantastic one, man. It was fun.
It was unbelievable. You
guys, man, who was the Guns N' Roses, right?
Guns N' Roses. Guns headlined 2 nights at that thing, you know, and it was you know, so it was Judas Priest. We were on tour with Judas Priest in North America. Then we went basically right from, you know, like Poughkeepsie, New York, where it's freezing cold in January, straight down to Rio, you know. So you had to pack suitcase with like parkas and then your beach shorts, you know. So and we'd never been down there. That was our first time to South America, first time to Brazil, and you know, it was so cool, man. And it was a little dangerous though. I remember security was like, you know, like, hey, don't leave the hotel without us, don't go across the street, you know. I remember that was the first time I tried to surf with Ricky Rackman. because Ricky Rackman was down there for MTV, and we went across the streets from the Intercontinental Hotel, down from Copacabana there, and we went out surfing, and a super fly white guy like me from Minnesota, like we don't surf very well, so I didn't do very well. Wasn't my culture,
Yeah.
Was that
Did you catch some waves though?
They caught me. I didn't catch them.
Was that the Rock and Rio? Was that the show where you guys had to play everything super fast, Dave? Like, because they gave you a short set.
They said, okay, you got say 1 hour, right? And it was televised.
Right.
So, Dave's motif was usually like, let's just play everything super fast and add one more song, and which,
like don't talk, just play.
Yeah, just don't talk, just play, And then later you realize, okay, if you pull a song out, you're actually getting paid more per song because you're playing less songs in the same amount of time, But it was about, we just want to cram as many songs in to play as much of our shit as we can. Because, what if this is the only time we ever come here? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, let's play as much as we can. So
I have a cool little story about Rock in Rio, because they had the first one years earlier, when me and Igor were still little kids, and we wanted to go because Ozzy was there, Scorpions. And that's when Brazil realized that they love heavy metal. We didn't knew that. And Rock in Rio is a 7-day festival with everything from pop to jazz. Every night is a different category, And then the heavy metal night, it broke the gates, man. It sold more than any other night.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the Brazilian press, everybody realized we are a heavy metal country. We didn't knew, but everybody here just loves metal. But we were little kids, and we wanted to go real bad, and our mom wouldn't let us, and it was like all this campaign about Ozzy being the devil and all this shit, and I had this like really kind of like evil uncle that we were in his house in outside the city, like kind of like in a country club type situation, and we'll be watching TV, and he will flip the channel and find the Rock in Rio live broadcast and put it on for like 10 seconds and then switch back to the soap opera, like torturing me and Igor. And we're all like, please, uncle, put it back. We need to watch it. And he would do it again, like a sadistic fucker, here, back to the soap opera. You want to, here, 10 more seconds of Ozzy, back to the soap opera. And I vow my vengeance. I'm like, I will have my vengeance on you, evil uncle. And then years later, we're playing on the fucking thing, like, well, we're playing on this thing now. You can't shut us down, You can't flip the channel now.
What is this garbage you're watching? I want to watch the news. Yeah. Well, it's funny about that, Max, because I remember after we played, going back to the hotel, which took, the traffic there. It took like an hour and a half to get back to the, I remember staying to watch Guns N' Roses. And it was, the last time I'd seen Guns N' Roses prior to that was they played right before us at Donington in 1988 with, Iron Maiden and Kiss and everything. And they were kicking ass, right? They're coming up the ranks. They had just come over from their tour with Aerosmith in America. And to just do that one show, and then they went back. And so to see them, kicking ass as you would expect, Appetite for Destruction, and then to see them at Rock in Rio was like, holy shit! They became the Rolling Stones, man. It was so huge. I think they had like backing singers. Dizzy Reed was in the band. They had, it was, I don't know if they had horns or not, but it was like, it was just like, oh my God, where did this band come from? And it was, and then they've been that huge ever since, but you're right. We got to play on such a great day, man.
Well,
it was.
Did you guys play before Judas Priest or after Judas Priest?
We played right before Priest. I think it was you. Then it was, remember Lobo? Was that kind of?
Yeah. He played one song and a half, bro. He got bombarded with shit.
Yeah, they pelted it with trash. We're like going. Yeah, whose idea was this?
Let me tell the story. Like, so this guy, he's like a pop guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he decided to be metal that day. Like, I'm gonna be metal. It's like, and the metalheads are not having that. You know, like,
no.
You are pop. You are pop. Like, do not come in an hour. It was like if Justin Timberlake all of a sudden turned heavy metal.
Yeah.
So he show up with like bullet belt, helmet, you know, all this shit, and the crowd fucking, they threw everything on him, man. I remember in the dressing room, I hearing his first song, and then I hear silence, like all this commotion, and then silence, and then Fade No More is on. I was like, what the fuck happened? You know, the band didn't even play. Like, they play a song and a half. And then Fade No More went on, and it was cool. We were friends with them back then. We kind of created like a little friendship with Mike and those guys, and that was really fun watching them. And they were like just starting to get recognized, you know, like it was like they were breaking out at that time.
Yeah.
And then I stay and watch you guys, but I didn't stay for the whole thing. I ended up getting. You know, we end up like leaving because at that show, it was the weirdest thing ever. I never felt at our show, at the Sepultura show in Rock and Rio, right after the show was over, I was high as a kite. Like if I had snort 10 lines of cocaine. Right. But I was straight as a straight edge, man. You know, I haven't took anything. That's like pure adrenaline, man. Like just from the show, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, look, that was the biggest show you and I probably had ever played up until that point. I mean, look, the Donington that I talked about in 1988, that was, I think, 107,000 people. And unfortunately, a couple of people died in the audience. That's why now Donington has that big, the security, and they've got all their barricades and things much improved since then. So that was a bittersweet show because that happened, I think, while Guns N' Roses was on, and then we were on right after that. So to get that news and then have to go up and kick ass, and it's just sort of like, oh my God, like how are we going to enjoy this? So it was horrible. You're in your mind, you're sad, yet having to go do your job, go play your songs.
What year was that?
That was 1988, August of 88.
88. Okay.
88. Wow. Yeah. And then, fast forward to 91. And I think that day that we played together there, I had heard the report was like 140,000 people in that place. It was huge.
Again, heavy metal became the most popular form of music in Brazil. In fact, I remember after the first Rock in Rio, they started having heavy metal in soap operas. They were having they actually have Iron Maiden and Scorpions playing in soap operas, and I was like, "This is fucked up, dude. This was our thing. What the fuck is happening? This is our fucking thing. Like, it's not for everybody. This is ours, man." Yeah. And it felt a little bit weird, but yeah, it was definitely cool. That was definitely a cool experience, and you guys kicked ass as always. Fucking.
Thank you.
Incredible. Of course, we were fans already at that point from already back in the day, like discovering you guys earlier on. But that was definitely like a cool thing to be part of it. Like first time in Brazil and the whole experience of the culture and all of that. So it's definitely good memories from that.
So hey everybody, David and Josh here, and just want to let you know about Rockabilia, our new partners here on the show, and you can visit them and enter David10 for 10% off on any of your purchases. So some cool stuff they have there, Josh.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome company. I mean, if you're of my generation of the, we go to the magazine aisle, and, when it was a print magazine, and, Rockabilia was in every Metal Edge and Metal Maniacs and whatever else, and you would circle every Megadeth t-shirt you wanted, or Metallica or Slayer or whatnot. So super pumped to have Rockabilia on with the David Ellefson show. And, just a few things. They've got over 500,000 items over at rockabilia.com. including staples like the Master of Puppets shirts, Rest in Peace shirts. They do limited edition exclusive drops each month. And the one thing that they wanted to stress was everything is 100% authentic. No bootlegs over there at rockabilia.com. So that's obviously a plus there too.
Cool. So the money goes where it's supposed to go. So, all right. Excellent. All right. So check it out. Rockabilia, David 10 for 10% off. Check it out. Rockabilia.com. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Max, what was the, how did you guys get Megadeth records in Brazil? Like, was it a cool, like underground trading? Like, do you remember getting, Killing Is My Business or something?
You guys were on what big label, right? It was
EMI, yeah, Capital EMI, yeah.
Yeah, so you can get your records on all the stores. Yeah,
even though they all look like they were bootleg.
Nice.
Yeah, but it looked like they were bootleg. It looked like some guy went over to the photocopier and just copied them off. You're like, it's like, but this can't possibly be real. This like it was sold at a flea market. You know,
this doesn't look entirely official.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that was kind of the thing. Is like, well, merchandise. Well, we're not even going to take any because they're just going to bootleg it. And same with records. It's like, hey, how many albums did we sell down in South America? It's like, don't even count. Like most of them are bootleg, you know. So, but it there again, it still goes to the exactly what you said, Max, about heavy metal became the music of Brazil, right? And you would get it no matter what the cost, man. No matter how hard you had to try, and the stores would manufacture it or whatever they would do to try to get it, you know. So
yeah, I mean, when we first got into the heavier side of metal, we live in Belo Horizonte, and that was like a 10-hour bus drive to Sao Paulo. And what we do, we have like a bunch, like 20 of our friends. Every month, one of us was selected to go to Sao Paulo with the money from all the 20 guys, you know, and buy a bunch of records and bring them home. And you know, that's how we discovered Voivod and Slayer. Who else? Celtic Frost, Hellhammer, Merciful Fate. And those are imported records, so they are a little bit more pricey, you know. And then the other thing you could do is buy cassettes. Now the cassettes is cool because it was only like $1, and you know, with the money of one imported record, you could buy 20 cassettes. So that was fucking like a lot of times I just buy the cassettes and was like, hey, I live without the artwork, but I got the music, you know. You know, it's like it's cheaper, but it doesn't come with all the cool shit, you know. But you know, it was like the only way to actually do it, you know. But it was cool. It's like discovering, you know, like it's such a different world from now. I was talking to a friend of mine about that, like. Don't you think a little bit like right now you kind of miss that, like you go in a record store and finding a band or even looking behind in the back cover of the album and see who they thank. Oh, let's see what the bands listen to. Those guys listen to these guys. So I go check those guys out, you know.
Yeah.
Now everything's available and you know, you want, you know, what band you want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about Chaos AD today, but Chaos AD was a record like that for me, where I'd seen the Territory video. I'd seen a little bit on Headbangers Ball and the metal magazines. And I was like, I got to find this record. And I can still remember finding Chaos AD, you know, like on cassette in 1994 and being excited to find it and get it home and dive into it and all that stuff too. So yeah, Chaos AD is a record like that for me. Like
the chase of it was cool.
Right.
The other thing I miss a lot, they don't do it anymore, was the album release, like the night of the record comes out. We did one of those. We did one in London for, I think it was for Chaos AD, and we had like, you know, 2,000 people waiting. So we were there like signing shit till like 4 a.m. But it was fun, you know. It's like, this is cool, man. You know, like the record came out last night. We are signing the shit all through the night. You know, it felt special. Felt like on the other side of it, it's really cool and convenient. Now you can find anything you want, and you can do. You know, I got into so much music through all the internet shit. You know, So I mean, it's like pick your poison. You know, But I do kind of miss the old days. It was a bit like more like a chase. You were like hunting for some records from bands, trying to find the gnarliest shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my friend playing me Napalm. That's like, this is the end of music. My buddy said, music is over. Check this out. This guy's got a song that's 2 seconds long. I'm like, right on, that's cool.
I remember we did one of those too on the Euthanasia album, and when that record came out, it was Halloween at midnight, Tower Records on Sunset Strip. Right? Same thing, shit. And because technically the release day was November 1st, so we started it right at 12 a.m. midnight.
How cool is that?
It was so awesome, man. And those big parties, because record labels had money, so they could support us doing these kind of things. They'd pay for airfare and hotels and cool parties and stuff like that. So, I wanted to, you mentioned about Chaos AD that it was sort of this pressure to have like a big album, a more mainstream album, all that. So what was that process like for you? Because I mean, obviously I've been down that road as well. And with did Andy Wallace mix this record? Who produced the album?
So Andy did everything pretty much. He was produced, mixed. He was really he took charge of the record. Mm-hmm. We were fluent in. We were trying different producers. I know that we tried Gart that did the first Rage. Right. For some reason, it didn't happen with him. But then Andy came in, and we were flying these guys to Phoenix. Again, like the label was paying for everything, so it was a different time. So they will bring these producers in, and they'll sit with you in your rehearsal place. And Andy felt like this was like the most knowledgeable guy that could really give us what we are looking for, Right. And I think to me in my career, the three hardest records I made was Beneath the Remains, Chaos AD, and Soulfly 1. Mm-hmm. And I think those three are very similar because they all had the urge to really kick ass. They needed to be good, otherwise the shit's over. It's one of those. Right. Hey, it's one of those kind of mentality. Like, all right, this better be good, or I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
So with that kind of mentality, you kind of you go in and you just bring everything that you got. But it was cool, man. Andy Wallace brought a lot of I remember Territory started with the guitars. It was everybody together. And he's all like, no. Hey, let me hear what the drummer is doing. Play the beat, and then Igor did the beats. Like, now let's start with that. And we're all like, wait, what's good? You're gonna start a song with the drums? And now it's an iconic beginning.
Yeah, totally. It's so tribal. It's so. It's funny because. So where did you cut that record? Did you cut it in L.A. or did you make it in Phoenix?
Nah. We all went to Wales.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah, Rockfield. Okay. It's like Andy had a relationship with Rockfield. He's done a bunch of records there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Queen recorded there. If I'm not mistaken, Zeppelin and Sabbath, a bunch of big people stay there. And that kind of, subconscious that creeps in on you, kind of like, I'm in a cool place making something. Yeah. I better come up with some cool shit,
Yeah.
Because the people before me that came here did some cool shit.
It's kind of like, I'm one of the guys now, so.
Well, yeah, you kind of subconscious feel that pressure,
So when did Ross Robinson come in? Then he came in the record.
That was that. Yeah. So that was for Roots.
And then that really changed that. I mean, look, he's kind of in a way, kind of the creator of the new metal movement in a way, right? I mean, it's just his production style, right? And how different was that working with Andy than going over working with Ross? Did you feel it at the time?
Yeah, day and night. In fact, Andy mixed Roots because Ross is great for. Trying to put this as
diplomatically as possible.
Diplomatic as I can.
I get it.
You know, he was great. He was in the middle of the room, jamming, you know, throwing shit around and getting everybody pumped, you know?
Yeah.
But the shit coming out of the speaker sounded so fucking raw that you need somebody to like clean it, you know, to make it shine.
Yeah.
So that was Andy. Andy's job was to clean that and make it pop, you know, which I think that's what made such a good team. I think Roz and Andy together, it's a cool team to have, because you have this raw shit, and then you have Andy that can make it sound really good, and that's I think why Roots, you know, sounds really good. But a little bit back to Andy. Andy was cool because he was a bass player, you know, and he kicked ass.
Really?
He was
okay.
Andy is a kick-ass bass player.
Okay.
Like plays like all kinds of shit, funk. You know, like I remember he was playing. They had a party the day the recording was over. They roasted a pig. You know, that was like everybody got drunk. And Andy ended up playing like bass. They had like a little band, made up band from the dudes in the studio.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't play part because I don't know how to play any rock music, you know. But they were playing like Rolling Stones and Beatles, and the Eagles, and Andy fucking killed it, man. You know, it was like,
nice.
Yo, you're an insane good bass player, you know.
I know some people who would say that, you know, once Andy Wallace touches your record, it's straight to the top, you know, and, you know, Andy Wallace is probably to metal guys what, say, Mutt Lange is, you know, to pop and hard rock, right? So, and I guess probably based on your own history, it's probably true, right? Because
Andy was, I think that one of the coolest things about him was how humble he is for a guy that he has made records with Madonna.
Yeah,
like we went to his house, had this huge car collection, and it's funny. You walk in his house, and there's all these fucking Madonna gold platinum records.
Yeah, and
like I don't even remember like Donna Summer and fucking either Bee Gees. I don't know. It was some crazy shit like that, you know.
Yeah.
And then fucking Angel of Death, you know, like fucking Raining Blood right there. You know, it's like, wait, hold on. Yeah. Madonna and Raining Blood, like together. Like, what's going on? But that was cool. Like he was humble, man. He never like had a big headed. Like I watch sometimes his studio fiends. What was it? Was the guy, the Beatles guy that had a gun? They made a documentary about him. Like I forgot, but he brought a gun to the studio and he would shoot the gun.
Wasn't like Phil Ramone one of those gears, or there's one of those kind of guys?
Phil Spector.
Oh, it's Phil Spector. Yeah, that's right. Phil Spector. Yeah, he was the guy.
So
yeah, crazy.
Nut. Like, what, you know, I think he would show up in a recording, and if you didn't like it, he'd start shooting. Grab a gun and start shooting. Make this shit right, you know. Yeah. It's like
talk about pressure to play your parts right, you know.
Right? What the fuck, man? So Andy, none of that, man. None of that happened with Andy. It was cool. And then the coolest thing, like mixing. Mm-hmm. You mix the shit really low. You could barely hear. Like we'll be sitting like behind him, you know, barely hear. And then after he gets done, he goes like, all right, you guys can put on, we nicknamed Manowar level. So Manowar level was like all the way to fucking 11, right?
Yeah.
Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
So we, you know, after he leaves the room, it's like, wait till I leave the room, and then you put on Manowar level. And then we'll listen to the real loud and sound fucking great.
You know, there's a thing that, of course, we learn as we make records, and you get around guys like Andy Wallace and these guys, you know, when they mix, they go through different phases, loud, soft, in between, right? But when it's really quiet like that, I asked somebody, I forgot who it was when we were making a record one time, and I said, why do you listen so softly? Is it to save your ears? He goes, no, not at all. He goes, when you mix, you have to assume this is going to get played on car stereos, you know, now, you know, phones, right? So one of the television, right? So one of the reasons they mix like that is you always want to hear the snare drum because that's the beat, and you want to be able to hear the singer because that's the melody. So a beat and the melody. So even if the guitars and the bass and all the other fluff goes away, you always want to hear the beat and basically the snare drum and the singer. And so I put a lot of records to that test. I'll listen to things super quiet, especially if I'm, mixing a record. I'll do the same thing and go, as long as you can hear the snare and as long as you can hear the vocal. In fact, the other day when I was watching Judas Priest and even Accept, I was listening to that. I was going, there's the snare, there's the vocal. The guitars could come and go because of, the ambiance. It was an open air, right? So the guitars could kind of come and go. Bass, you could hear it or not, But you can always hear the snare and you can always hear the vocal. I was going, okay, these guys know what. I sat at the front of House Tower and I was like, okay, these guys know how to mix. They know what they're doing. Yeah. And so I thought that was a nice education in mixing. Hear the beat, hear the melody.
Yeah, that's fucking great. Another thing, a long time ago was when we worked with Scott Burns.
Mm-hmm.
We did Beneath the Remains.
Love Scott Burns.
Arise. Scott Burns brought the worst piece of shit boombox in the world. Like Radio Shack is a 5-star sound system compared to what he had. I don't even know what brand it was. It was probably, it was the worst piece of shit thing ever.
Yeah.
And he told me, like, if it sounds good in this, then it will sound good everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was like,
you're right, man. Like, let's not get fooled by these big speakers that we have in the studios. No motherfucker have those at home. Like if you're sitting in the studio with those big speakers, everything is gonna sound pretty fucking amazing. You know.
Yeah.
But he will like, let's not trust those. Let's go back to the hotel and listen to in my piece of shit boombox. And if it sounds good in that, then we're golden. And then on the second night of his stay in Rio, because we recorded in Rio at nighttime, somebody broke into his room and stole everything, all his clothes and the piece of shit boombox.
Oh, fuck.
So we had to go buy another $1 boombox in Brazil, which was like real easy to do.
They're everywhere.
You probably bought the same one from a guy on the street.
He's taking back to you.
Probably the same
one. Hey, so it's fun. Go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was going to ask that. I mean, I know we're kind of wrapping up on the time or whatever, but I had a couple of questions for you, Max. I mean, obviously working with David on Prophecy. Kind of talk about that a little bit. You guys working together.
By the way, thank you, Dave, again for landing the bass for the new Soulfly.
You're welcome.
Amazing.
It's funny and just to preempt this story. So Max and I record at the Focusrite Room. Our friend John Ancolino from Icon has this amazing studio there in Phoenix. Yeah, it literally looks like a spaceship. And John calls me one day. He goes, "Dude, I got Max in here. We're cutting a record." He goes, "Do you have a bass we can borrow?" And I said, actually, I have this Charvel bass. Now, here's the funny thing. I was over here on a Bass Warrior tour last year, and I was doing stage-used basses, right? Play them and sell them. But Jackson had run out of stock. I was literally buying basses from Toman Music over here, which is like Sweetwater in America, right? I'm buying my own basses at like a discount just so I can sell them. And I ran out of basses. So I pulled into this music store. I go, I hope they have a bass because otherwise I may not have a bass to play tonight, right? So I pull in and I buy that Charvel. They had the Charvel, and I'm like, all right, this sounds pretty fucking good, man. So that's where that bass came from. I bought it on the fly in Poland, and then I brought it home. Let me
tell you, it sounds fantastic. Sounds great.
I saw the Sacred Right guys the other day here in town there with Exodus, and they're cutting a record now down there at John's as well, right? So I think, and I said, are you using the bass? And go, yeah, we are actually. So I'm like, look, it'll become the house bass now. This will be the
exactly. Hey, it was really cool. Thanks again for letting that. But dude, that time the Prophecy thing was awesome. That was cool. That was like one of my favorite sessions of all time.
I got to tell you, it's funny. So I go, Gloria hits me about playing on the record. I said, absolutely. And at the time I worked for Petey, I was kind of doing that as a full-time gig. And I go down to the Marquee Theater in Phoenix and I see you guys, and Bobby Burns is playing, and he looks badass. He's got a mohawk. He looks like a full Mohican. I'm like, this fucking guy's pretty good. Now, I knew Bobby from Primer 55 was actually on my artist roster at Peavey, right? So I knew him as a guitar player. So I'm going, I don't know, he's playing bass. All right, fuck this guy, right? He can do anything, But I saw it, I went, all right, this is a cool band, man. Mark Rizzo and Joe. And then we go in the studio, of course, and I'm like this clean cut guy, I'm in my shorts and my hair's a little shorter. And I remember you bring these songs in, and I remember after we cut the tracks in the room, I just remember you had that one guitar that had 2 strings on it. And and then I think they were painted silver or something, right? Like they hardly, I was like, how does these strings fucking work? And I go, I don't know. Yeah. And I said, what tuning is it? And you go, I don't know. And I asked Rizzo. Rizzo leans over and goes, it's A sharp, And I was like, I love this guy, man. Max, you just write shit. You don't care what tuning it in. You don't even care.
Yeah.
You just pick up a guitar, a song. I learned a lot from you from that. I've since copied a lot of that mentality. That just pick up an instrument sitting in the corner, and if there's a song in it that day, just go with it, and don't get so meticulous about stuff,
Well, yeah, I mean, and appreciate that, not kind words. That I think that guitar, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, it was either that or another one around the same time. I decided to spray painted the whole thing gold.
Yeah.
And I spray painted the strings as well. And my road is like,
that's it.
I don't think that's gonna work, man. You can't spray paint the strings, And anyway, the thing did work.
But you did. It did. Well, I remember there was a critical moment. So we're at the Salt Mine Studios in Phoenix, and I think Don Salter might have been kind of part of talking to Gloria and said, hey, give Ellefson a call or whatever. I think those two were the think tank behind it, right? But so there I am in the studio. I remember I had this 5-string Fender P bass, and I'm playing, and I say, Max, what do you think? Something like this? And you go, bro, whatever you want. I said, all right. I said, then there's another time I go, so maybe a little like this. Should I do this? He goes, bro, you're David Ellefson. Do whatever you want. I go, this is the most casual session I've ever. So thank you for just the liberty. And, especially, Megadeth was everything. It was very militant and it had to be a certain way. And then to work with you was just like, oh my God, this is just like the breath of fresh air. If there ever was.
Thank you. But, I'm first of all, I'm a fan. So I'm like, I'm not going to tell my idol how to play, man. Fucking you do your thing, man.
Appreciate that.
I love the thing you do on Mars. Like you take that you take that bass for a walk, man. You take it to the woods. You took that thing. You took that thing to the jungle. You to the rainforest. It went all the way to the rainforest and back. I was like, fuck yeah, dude! This is fucking sick.
I appreciate it, dude. It was one of the most fun sessions of my entire life. It was so liberating creatively, and and of course we were right there in Phoenix, so it was great. Because I remember you brought in songs. You were at home with like your little 4-track or something, and you'd write the songs and you'd bring them in. And dude, they sounded exact like the production obviously wasn't as good as the album we were making, but for the most part. What you brought in on your little 4-track with a guitar, a drum machine, and your vocal, I'm like, that's it right there. I mean, no matter where Max records, it's going to sound like Max. And when you brought it in, you didn't even have to interpret what it was going to be because it was pretty much defined right there. So that was.
And then you went on tour with us for a little bit, which was also interesting.
I did. Well, we went up to Monument Valley there in, I think, Utah, right? 4 Corners. And we shot that Prophecy video, which was
that's cool.
And I think it was super great. I think that's also where Metallica shot that Mission Impossible video or something, was up on top of that butte. I remember we were looking, there's one of those big, mountains up there. But yeah, it was great to go on tour, man. It was, in fact, I remember Gloria had called me. Bobby Burns was playing bass with you, and he had a little medical thing that sidestepped him for a minute. So she called me on a Thursday and she just says, hey, David, can you be in San Diego at the House of Blues on Monday? Here's the 28 songs we need you to learn. I'm like, oh shit. I'll never forget where I was on Shea Boulevard by my house and going, oh fuck. All right. So I got to go home and do some homework like right now, so, but that was, cause I filled in for a couple of weeks. And then I remember Dan Loker came out after that. So that was such a having such a fun thing. Yeah, Jada Pinkett Smith, I remember, was on the bill. Remember, Will Smith was at that show.
Right.
So you're playing it. Will Smith's in the audience, like, and that was my first gig. I'm like,
it's pretty crazy,
pretty fucking metal.
Yeah. It was fun, man. I remember talking to Gloria because me and her we've been running these things for like 40 years now, and I'm so thankful to her, to everything that she does, because she's so amazing. Like 3 a.m, she's like planning tours and all this shit that none of the fans ever see it, and I never take it for granted, but I remember one time me and her sitting down and talking about bringing you on tour. And I look at her and say, yeah, it's cool, but we're so ghetto, man. He's not. He's used to high touring. We're gonna fuck him up.
Hey, all you had to do is get my.
Yeah, he might like the ghetto style too. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of homey. It's kind of like we have the home style thing, but it was cool. It was definitely like fun, man.
I got brought up my camouflage shorts and got down on it, man. So it was I really enjoyed it. I love Gloria. We would talk business a lot and sit in the lounge and just bullshit about stuff. And but no, those were super great memories, man. And it
awesome.
I loved it. It was super great.
We did this little thing. It was on a song called "I Believe," and it was like we went into a jam session because a lot of those went into jam sessions, as you remember, right? Like they just end up becoming jam sessions. Yeah. But anyway, this one was kind of really cool because it was like really mellow. Like I had a little like delay pedal thing going on. You did some really cool. Again, some crazy cool bass line things. That little part of music that has no name, it's not a song on itself, even though it's a short, should have been credited as an instrumental. That's one of my favorite things of the whole record.
Really?
Yeah. How crazy is that, right? Like this little moment, this simple little, thing is definitely like when I listen to Prophecy, I really like that part a lot. It's like really cool, like just a jam session. To me, it's just like musicians just doing what they love, just getting down with the music, fuck everything else, just jam.
You know what? That's exactly what it was, man. We'd go to Mango's Tacos, get some tacos with Don Salter, come back to the studio and sit and record. And well, Max, man, we went on to take all day, man. And so thank you, dude, for joining us here. And we'll let you get going. And now that's what I'm going to do right after we end is I'm going to go listen to that part of Prophecy right now. I have not listened to it in a minute. So you've inspired me now to go find that little piece of music that doesn't have a name, a song title, and just kind of relive that moment. Because isn't that the beauty of music? I guess like watching a movie or something too, but especially with music, it takes you right back to that time when we were in the room together. And it's like you said earlier at this beginning of the interview, when you look at an album cover and you read the credits, and it just takes you back to a certain moment in time. It's like looking through a family photo album, man. And that Prophecy record has real magic in it, man. It's organic and heartfelt, and it was just such a great experience, man.
Thank you, and thanks for having me, guys. Really, I haven't done any podcast, anything like that. I think the last time it was probably with Josh.
Yeah, I was about to say probably. I think every time you do one of these, album playthroughs, man, I think we've done all of them. So it's pretty awesome.
But very, very fun. This was cool. I really enjoyed the conversation. It was fun to go back to those old times. Yeah, and I wish both of you guys, success and health and all the great things in life, man.
Thank you, Max. Love you, dude. Appreciate everything, man.
Yeah, let me end with this though. I just thought about this. So Max is taking Fear Factory out on tour. So you got to look at the timeline here. So Dino goes to bother Ellefson and Mustaine back in the day, making them sandwiches and learning the business, and then he gets signed, and then he gets bothered by Max Cavalera at one point. And then, so Dino gets Sepultura signed. And so the timeline, kind of works out to where it all goes back to Megadeth.
It's right. It's so cool. It's so
Who
cool.
knew?
That tour, it's shaping up to be really fun. We're really looking forward to that. And Dino is a great guy, dude. Dino is fun. It's one of those riff guys.
Yeah.
You can sit down with him and start riffing, and you have sometimes have to like physically stop him because you will not stop riffing. He's worse than me. I have the riff disease, but I think Dino might be worst case scenario than mine. Even sometimes you have to stop him physically. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Playing with Fear Factory at the US tour. Very much looking forward to that. Revived Chaos AD. And man, fucking all the best to you guys. Great seeing y'all.
Thank you. Likewise. Here's to Riffitis. Right?
Riffitis.
All right. All right. Be well. If you don't catch it, Auf Wiedersehen, buddy. Have a good one, Max.
Right.
See you later,
guys.